Hey everyone, welcome. Today, we're going to jump into something amazing, a blueprint for leadership that's, believe it or not, thousands of years old but is just as powerful today, and we're pulling it straight from Exodus chapter 18.
Now, what's so cool about this chapter is where it starts. Before we even get to the problem, the whole story kicks off with worship. You've got Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, showing up. He hears about the incredible escape from Egypt, and what's his first reaction? He blesses the Lord. This is so important because it sets the stage for everything else. It tells us that any real wisdom, any lasting solution, has to be grounded in giving God the glory first.
All right, so let's dive in. Here's how we're going to walk through this today. We'll start with a joyful family reunion, then look at the massive weight on Moses' shoulders. After that, we'll check out the wise counsel he got, unpack the leadership blueprint that came from it, and see what happens when you finally share the burden.
Okay, so picture this. They're out in the wilderness, camped near the mountain of God. Moses is in the middle of leading this huge nation of people who were just freed from slavery. And right in the middle of all that chaos and responsibility, his wife, Zipporah, and his two sons finally arrive. It's this really beautiful personal moment of joy tucked into this massive history-making journey.
So Moses starts telling him everything God has done, all the miracles. And this is the key, right here, Jethro's reaction. He doesn't jump in with, well, you should have done this, or offer advice. Nope. He starts with pure joy. He literally rejoices in God's goodness to Israel. And that right there shows you who he is. He's not just a father-in-law. He's a man of God. His entire perspective starts with what God is doing.
Okay, so that's the reunion. But fast forward to the very next day, and that joyful vibe, it shifts. Jethro is watching Moses at the office, so to speak, and he sees a huge systemic problem. And it's not subtle, it's immediately, painfully obvious what's going wrong. So what is it? What's the problem? It boils down to this: one judge. You have this whole nation of people, and for every single argument, every question, anytime a judgment is needed, there's only one person to go to: Moses. He's it. He's the single bottleneck for justice for the entire nation.
And to really wrap your head around how crazy this is, think about the numbers. The Bible says there were over 600,000 men ready to fight. Now, add in the women and children, you're easily talking about a population of over 2 million people. 2 million people and one judge. I mean, the math just doesn't work. It's impossible.
And you know what? This broken system was failing everybody. Moses is working from morning till night, totally drained, completely exhausted. And what about the people? Well, they're spending their entire day just standing in line, hoping for a chance to even be heard. It's inefficient, it's unsustainable, and you can just imagine how frustrating it was for everyone involved. So Jethro sees all this, and he steps in. He gives Moses a really direct but loving warning. He basically says, man, what you're doing, you're going to wear yourself out. And not just you, you're going to wear out all these people too. And that's the critical thing to get here. This wasn't just a minor inconvenience. This was a direct path to total collapse. The burden was just way too heavy for one guy to carry alone.
And this is where the whole story pivots. Because Jethro doesn't just say, hey, this is a problem. He actually offers a solution. And it's so important that we see this for what it is. This isn't just some ancient version of a modern management seminar. This is God-given wisdom being delivered through a humble, observant father-in-law to solve a massive problem.
And the solution he comes up with? It's honestly brilliant in how simple it is. Jethro basically says, you need to delegate. He lays out this idea for a structured system of leaders. Let other qualified, godly people handle the smaller, everyday issues. That way, Moses is freed up to do what only he can do: handle the really tough cases and, most importantly, be the people's representative before God.
And Jethro doesn't just toss out a vague idea and walk away. No, he lays out a clear, step-by-step, actionable plan for Moses to follow. It's a genuine blueprint for creating a healthy, just community.
So let's walk through this blueprint. Step 1, Jethro confirms Moses' main job. You stay as the people's go-between with God. That's your lane. Step 2, teach everyone God's laws and instructions, so everybody's on the same page. Step 3, find some capable, qualified men. Step 4, appoint them as leaders over groups of thousands, hundreds, 50s, even 10s. And then finally, Step 5, Moses will only have to judge the really difficult cases, the ones that get escalated up the chain. It's such a beautiful, practical system.
But here's the kicker. Who were these new leaders supposed to be? Jethro is super specific about this, and honestly, this might be the most important part of the whole plan. It wasn't about who was the most charismatic or the wealthiest, it was all about character. Yeah, they had to be capable, able men, but the list starts with what's on the inside. They had to fear God, be men of truth, and hate bribes and dishonest money. That spiritual and moral foundation, it was absolutely non-negotiable.
Okay, so this brings us to the real climax of the story. Because think about it, you can get the best advice in the entire world, but if you're not humble enough to receive it, it's totally useless. The real power of this whole chapter is found in how Moses responds.
And it's profound. This is Moses we're talking about, the guy who literally speaks to God face to face, the deliverer of an entire nation. And yet, what does he do? He humbly listens to his father-in-law's advice, and then he does everything he said. He doesn't let his ego or his title get in the way of receiving wisdom. That single act of humility is the key that unlocks the whole solution.
And the results were, well, they were immediate, and you could feel them. The crushing weight on Moses was just lifted. He was pulled back from the brink of burnout. But it wasn't just about him. Just as importantly, a whole new level of leadership was created inside the community. Now people could get justice faster, it was more accessible, and a whole group of men were empowered to step up and serve.
So what's the final outcome? It's peace. It's order. The Bible says that after they put this plan into action, the burden was lighter and everyone, from Moses all the way down, could go home in peace. All that chaos was replaced by a healthy, working system of justice. And it all happened because one leader was humble enough to listen and wise enough to share the load.
So as we wrap this up, this ancient story really leaves us with a powerful question for our own lives, doesn't it? Moses had a Jethro, and the lesson from this whole chapter is crystal clear. We are not designed to carry our burdens by ourselves. So take a second and think, who has God placed in your life to help you bear your burden? Who are those wise, God-fearing people that He might be using to give you counsel? It's a really important question for all of us to think about.